tomorrow too, just to kick it off right before our last event of the year.
That's a great idea. Well, we're live, so
Woohoo!
welcome to the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast, episode 303. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. In this show, we will be discussing a velocity adjustable gas block review, the MK3 from KE Arms, the Modlite flashlight, and the Sky with some sort of red dot. I am your host, Chad Wallace, and with me tonight are Russell from KE Arms, Tony, and that's about it because Zane cannot seem to connect, and I think Rob's on vacation again. So we will go into what we did in firearms. Tony, you always have cool stuff.
Oh, great. Yeah, no pressure. Um, I took the 22, Gen 22 in the high tower armory stock that makes it look like a FN, what is that, P90? I took that to the range and I was working on just shooting smaller and smaller groups, getting used to it. And I had a lot of fun with it. Got yelled at because I fired too many rounds per second at the range. Like,
Oh,
you know how you can lose control of a 1022 when you fired rapidly. And it was only me on the range by myself. And you just couldn't resist. Anyway, that's what I did. And of course, you know what I'm prepping for day after tomorrow, which is the next diversity shoot. So that's all I did.
right. I actually went out to the range, and of course, the range I go to doesn't have a limit on how fast you can shoot, which is a good thing. I had a bunch of stuff I was putting through some paces for reviews. There's some pictures on Instagram if you want to go look at them. Shooting full house double op buck, unlike our buddy Zane. I had to see how the infinity targets would hold up to it. It does pretty good, and they said don't shoot it with slugs, so of course I had to shoot it with a slug.
You sure you don't have any Marine Corps in you? Because that sounds like something we do.
No, I just have good friends that are Marines, so they rub off on you. So that's what I did, but Russell can probably tell us a little more. He might have done something cool, or he can at least tell us about himself a little bit. So it's all yours, Russell.
So my name is Russell Fagan. I've been in the firearms industry since 2001. I've been a active action competitive shooter for that duration as well. I got into competitive action shooting at first 3-gun and more recently focusing on 2-gun. To have a venue to test and evaluate the products I was making and selling, and to have a way to credibly talk about the use of the products with our customer base for the company I was working for at the time. So I got into competitive shooting. I've taken it pretty seriously since then, and I use it alternating between improving myself, testing new products, and using it to educate other shooters. So as far as interesting things I've done with guns in the past month or so, I shoot a 2-gun match pretty much every weekend. And in the past 3 matches, I've used the new Brownell's BRN 180S shorty upper on one of our factory short-barreled rifle lowers, and it's been an interesting evaluation to shoot that thing.
Nice. Yeah, I've always wondered how one of those BRN 180 uppers does. Do you actually like the impulse it gives you when you shoot it, or is it much different?
On the full length one, I have an article coming out in Recoil, I think in the next issue in January about that one. I used that at a lot of matches over the summer, and I didn't like the recoil impulse without a comp on it because the way the bolt shifts back and forth in the upper is quite different than a traditional DI AR. But it has other interesting features. The ability to put a side folding stock on it. If you want a gas piston upper, it seems to be the best one in my opinion because it's not trying to work around existing AR-15 parts other than the lower. So you have to deal with things like carrier tilt and that sort of thing. So I put a lot of rounds through that one. As far as the shorty 10.5-inch upper, it handles equivalent to a regular 10.5-inch DI gun, but with the advantage of being able to put a side folder on it. And, truly the only thing that really gets dirty in it is the, piston under the handguard. So
Nice.
And as a left-handed shooter, I really like the charging handle being on the right-hand side It makes it very convenient to use.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Well, that's good to know. I guess we'll move on to our announcements now. We started a cult because we didn't want to be left out. You can go to gunandgearcult.com and pledge your support if you want to give us a pledge. We have 1, 5, 15, $25 levels. We would appreciate it if you think we're putting out decent content. We would love for you to do that, and it would help us out. Bandwidth sponsor is our buddies over at Patriot Patch Co. Go sign up for the Patch of the Month Club. You get all kinds of cool patches, stickers, and December's is, you know, it's not like an eagle or anything. It's Santa with a belt fed, repelling into your window. It's pretty cool. So go check it out. Join the Patch of the Month Club. You can get one of those cool things. You can always go to gunstreamer.com to check out firearms videos. And if you're shopping Amazon, please use the firearmsradio.tv/Amazon affiliate link and give the Firearms Radios a few dollars here and there.
All right. Want me to read the disclaimer?
Sure, since we all know I can't read.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. This is not legal advice, nor should it be considered as such. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
Reading is fundamental.
Yeah. I have a review for you guys tonight. So it is on the Velocity Precision Adjustable Gas Block. So it's not a super long review. They did send this to me. I finally had a use for it, so now I can review it. The Velocity Precision, some people might know, they're mainly known for their triggers. Well, they've kind of branched out into the AR market with a few other things. Like the adjustable gas block. So if you're looking to tune a suppressed rifle or do various other things, low mass carriers, stuff like that, you might want to look into an adjustable gas block. By allowing you to adjust it, you can tune the rifle, with the low mass bolt carrier groups, less gas, smoothens out the recoil impulse, won't beat the crap out of your shoulder if you're Zane. I don't think it says that in there, but if you're running a suppressor all the time, you might want to run it down because most suppressors will cause more back pressure. So tuning it down when running suppress is a big plus. Being able to tune it for specific ammo, like Russell's a 2-gun competitor, 3-gun competitor. He probably runs 1 or 2 different types of ammo, so he probably tunes his rifles for what he's running if he can. There's a bunch of reasons why someone might want an adjustable gas block. The Velocity one has a bunch of features. It's low profile, pretty much industry standard. It is made from stainless steel, and it is then black nitride coated. So it should last a lifetime of the rifle. I won't say a complete lifetime because some people shoot more than I do. They also put some little diamond-shaped cuts in the gas block to lighten it up. It looks nice. It actually blends well with the handguard I have it under, but that's a different subject. They do run a 750 journal diameter, which is another kind of industry standard unless you're running a heavy barrel or lightweight barrel, which I would like to see them also put out a 625-inch one for lightweight builds. But, hey, it's their first one. I can't knock them too much for that. The gas block uses 2 set screws on the bottom to clamp it down tight. It's not a clamp style. It's just the set screws put pressure on it and to tighten it down. It did include a new gas tube roll pin, which was a bonus for me since the one that came with the gas tube went flying across my garage. And, of course, it comes with the Allen wrenches to adjust it. Adjustment for the gas block is pretty straightforward if you know anything about gas blocks. On the front of the gas blocks is brass set screw. They use it as a lock screw to keep the other set screw, your actual adjustment, from wandering. So, of course, loosen it before you make any adjustments on the adjustment screw, or it'll just be harder to adjust and probably grind down the brass set screw. The gas adjustment screw is stainless steel. It's on the left side of the gas block. Not that that really probably matters. You turn it in to impede the flow, which would be clockwise, and you turn it counterclockwise to increase the flow, and clockwise to decrease the amount of gas being sent back to the bolt carrier group. Once you've adjusted it where you want it, you just tighten back down on the brass set screw. There you go. It does work just by blocking off flow from the gas hole with the stainless set screw. It's nothing super complicated. So if you're switching between suppressed and unsuppressed, it can get pretty annoying if you want to keep adjusting it. The one advantage is they do coat the set screws in high temp anti-seize, so it shouldn't pack up with carbon too bad and should be easily adjustable for a long while. I put it on a 7.5-inch AR pistol. Of course, in my opinion, the shorter the barrel needs more of an adjustable gas block than maybe a 16-inch or a 20-inch rifle gas system. The barrel I used was not dimpled for the set screw style gas block, but once I lined it up, I just tightened them, put some locks tight on the screws. It hasn't loosened up, so I figure it's probably going to stay. I would recommend other styles of mounting if it's for an extreme duty rifle, but since this is not, it works fine for what I'm using it for. The pistol that I'm using ran fine with all different kinds of ammo. I did take the one that I use the most, that has the least amount of pressure / it's the softest ammo that I shoot, and that's what I set the gas block to. I just kind of turned it in one turn at a time and shot like a magazine through it, and then if it worked, then I'd screwed in another one. Then once I started having some minor problems, I backed it out a half a turn, shot some more through it, locked the brass set screw down. There you go. It's a softer recoil impulse than it was originally. And because it's such a short pistol gas system, it did really actually make it a little nicer to shoot.
So you're saying it shoots wolf steel case? That's because I know that's what you used.
No, that's what I adjusted it for. Will you just be quiet? It shoots everything, okay?
Yeah.
I was being nice. I wasn't going to say that, but you called me out on it.
The wide range of ammo I shoot, Black Hills, Wolf. Yeah, okay, buddy.
Hey, I had some. What are they? 55 grain VMAXs that I load up for varmints. I shot some of that through it.
All right, calm down. It's all right. I'm not judging.
Some green tip I had. I'm shooting some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem I ran into was not a problem with the gas block. It's a problem with the Allen wrench, that my particular handguard is in the way of getting an Allen wrench in there to tighten the brass screw. So I needed a longer one to do it from the end of the handguard. So, you might look to see how much space you have before you get an adjustable gas block, or, kind of look at your combination of what you're using. If you need a gas system adjustment, won't be adjusting it a lot. This might be something you are looking for. It's well made. The pictures in the review kind of show what it looked like. Those are actual pictures I took. So it's fairly light and it won't break the bank. So if you're interested, go check out Velocity Precision. We'll get to the Firearms Insider Review 8 key points. Claim to fame, of course, it's a 750 size adjustable gas block. Target markets, pretty much builders, suppressor users, competition shooters. Features and benefits, we went through most of them. Excuse me. It has a 750 journal diameter. It is 1.7 ounces. It's made from 303 stainless steel. It is black nitride coated. The set screws we already went through and the wrenches. You cannot get it in any other options. I couldn't find any other links, but there is from the Velocity Precision website. There's a couple reviews there, just little short ones. Price point, MSRP on it is $59.95. Retail is pretty much the same. If you can find it, I think I found it for like 58 something somewhere, and it was nobody I'd heard of the website, so I didn't even put it in here. So if you need it now, Velocity Precision. Our ratings, the pros, it is lightweight. It does have stainless adjustment screw. The brass lock screw's nice so that it doesn't bind up with the stainless set screw. And the nitride coating is quite nice. The cons, you can only get it for a 750 barrel. And my handguard was in the way, so that's not really a con on its fault. It's a con on my fault, but just to watch out for it. So I did give it a score of 7.5, which was good. Now it's up to you guys to ask questions if you want to.
Well, a real man would need hand guards. I'll go ahead and put that out there.
So, well, you know where I come from, we call them gloves.
But no, I've never used an adjustable gas block, even though I have one on this on the Rob rifle, which is Adams Arms upper. I think you can adjust that, but I haven't found a need to. How about you, Russell? I know you run a bunch of different stuff. Do you have adjustable gas blocks on your two-gun or
no,
three-gun
I
rifle?
don't. I don't have adjustable gas blocks on anything. I pretty much use buffer weights or low mass carriers to adjust recoil accordingly. Though I do know some people that do use adjustable gas blocks, and for the most part, they seem to get the one match load that they like and then stick with it, and then the set screw never changes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's pretty much kind of why, like I said, I set it for the lowest gas that, that steel cased stuff, and then everything else is going to run in it. And so I guess we're done with that now. And now we can get into the fun stuff. We have product spotlight and discussion. Since Russell is here, first up, KE Arms MK3 polymer receiver. MSRP on this thing is $99.95. It is not available yet, but it will be. I think they say second quarter 2020, and Russell will tell us a little more here once I get through the simple stuff on their website, which is actually pretty decent. It has the stuff on there I need to know. It is, if you know anything about like the Cav Arms lowers, this is like an updated version of that. It is also, if you've heard of InRange TV, their What Would Stoner Do project, this is what they basically came up with and said they would use. They used like Cav Arms G-Wax, and this is updated. Features, it is compatible with most AR-15 uppers, lower parts kits, as you would guess. It does have a built-in flared magwell. The stock is an A1 length, so it's 13 inches length to pull. It looks like they're putting an M-lock slot at the rear for whatever you want, or to run a sling through, which I thought was really cool. At the front of the stock, there's QD socket inserts. They improve the grip a little bit, maybe the grip angle. I got to ask. And it does have a larger trigger guard. It uses a standard carpine buffer and spring. Takedown pivot pins have D10s built into them, which is kind of cool. and they say to increase durability. I just like that they're not going to go flying on me. Uh, uh, the selector spring a D10's load from the top. Then the selector slides over it. The buffer D10, if you choose to use it, it says, uses a roll pin to hold it in place, so that won't go flying out on you if you decide to take it apart somehow. Uses mil-spec fire control groups. It is compatible with cassette-style match triggers, and I'm sure Russell will explain this. And like the K-Arms DMR and SLT units, since it uses, I think, let's see, these triggers declips in the bushings to retain the fire control pins are better suited for the MK3. He can go over that some more. The hammer pin areas are wider for durability. I'm guessing so they just have more surface area to not wear out on. And now I will give it to Russell to take it away and tell us all the nuances of this thing.
Sure. So where to start? I guess we would start with how it's made. It's going to be injection molded in 2 halves, very similar to previous monolithic polymer receiver designs. The buttstock, buffered tube, pistol grip, and trigger guard are all molded in as one piece. And then those 2 halves are linear vibration welded together, which makes them into effectively one piece. That's everything
kind of cool.
Yeah, everything about the receiver is made to be optimized, being produced in plastic, and incorporating all the lessons learned over the past 20 years of my personal experience with the CAV 15 receiver designs that came before.
Okay.
Hold on. All right, there you go. Yeah, no, you've been involved with Cav Arms because that's where you started with, right? When you started doing these, so it's not unknown to you. You know what you're doing. You have the experience, and because you're 2-gun, 3-gun, and actually using, firearms like most of us do, whether it's plinking at the range or running competitions, you know what it needs. So I think it's pretty cool that you're involved in pretty much what is the 3rd iteration of this design.
Correct. And to be clear, I'm not an engineer. I don't have any sort of formal education in that area. But what I do have is experience working with thousands and thousands of plastic receivers and experience in general concepts of how things need to be made, as well as how they're used. So where I come into play on a production team on a product like this is I collaborate with the engineers and I tell them this is what the part needs to do. This is what we've seen issues with before. And these are the features that modern shooters expect out of a new firearm. So combining all those things together, I'm kind of like the hub between, the manufacturing and the end user to make the best product possible.
Yeah, I really enjoyed using my G-Wax just because I think we talked about it obviously before the show started. 2012 was when I got into them, right after Sandy Hook, and I wanted to get it because I was looking at the Cav Arm stuff. I'd read articles on it, and the only reason I didn't purchase them back then was because I live in Jersey, so there's a ton of paperwork and sign off and all that stuff if you're new and don't know anyone, involved in getting a firearm. So when I finally got my firearms purchase permit, firearms ID card, I committed. I wanted to buy one of these. They were awesome. It was one piece. I had to have a non-adjustable fixed, as in non-folding stock on my AR anyway. So, hey, let's go with this one. And I haven't regretted it at all. But it wasn't perfect. I mean, you know what I mean? It had did you guys change the angle of the pistol grip on this?
Yeah, so the Mark III receiver is going to be a grip that's much more comfortable for modern shooters based upon other grips on the market, mirroring those grip angles and features. The CAV 15 Mark II was designed initially starting in 2002 and actually entered production in 2003. And a lot of things have changed in the marketplace over that time period, and other complementary products introduced that did not exist in 2003. So one example of that would be PMags did not exist in 2003. And for better or worse, PMags are marginally dimensionally different than USGI magazines. The followers are shorter front to back, for example, and not all CAV-15 receivers could work reliably as far as last round bolt hole open with all PMags. So addressing those dimensional issues is one of the things we're doing with the Mark III to make sure that it is fully compatible with the current generation of PMags. And hopefully Magpul, if they update those designs, lets everyone know that they're going to be updating them in the future. Like the over insertion tab on that, when that first came out on the Gen 3 PMags, it was something a lot of manufacturers had to react to. So from the get-go, the Mark III will be compatible with Gen 3 PMags and, able to reliably work with the last run bolt hole open.
I really am geeked up about this because, I mean, one of the things everybody talked about, and one of the reasons that InRange TV used it for their What Would Stoner Do build was because of the lightweight. This is going to maintain that same weight savings compared to aluminum counterpart, I guess you'd say.
Well, you'd have to do an apples to apples comparison, right? So in this case, because we're incorporating a flared magwell to it, you'd have to compare it to a billet flared magwell with a fixed A1 length stock. To be blunt, there are lightweight carbine builds out there now where people use a very minimal telescoping stock to get the weight down, and they use other lightweight components to get the weight down, sometimes skeletonized aluminum AR receivers. So everything in manufacturing is a balancing act, right? What this is going to do is allow you to have a relatively lightweight at a relatively low cost with a high degree of integrated features out of the box. So when you start looking at the MSRP of $99.95, compare that to a flared magwell lower with an A1 stock that has sling attachment points and your favorite manufacturer's grip and a winter trigger guard. And when you add all those sorts of features together, the MSRP of $99.95 is quite reasonable considering all the value added just straight out of the mold.
Yeah, I'm looking at the M-LOK slots in the rear of the stock. Oh, much better than me trying to figure out how to fit my sling through it. The loops that's on the G-Wax. I mean, usually I don't do this, but yeah, I'm a little geeked up about it because this is one of my favorite rifles. So to be better and to be back in production, I can't wait to see it, man. And also how the pins are held in place is a little different, right?
Well, it's the same concept. So the original KF-15 receivers going back to 2000 to 2002, the earliest generations of those, used traditional AR-15 takedown pins in which we would drill the spring and detent holes into the lower. Over time, we found those to be fail points. They allowed a crack to form, particularly through the rear takedown pin hole that was drilled into the lower. And they were also high scrap rate points for manufacturing because those holes were drilled after the fact. And, a drill that tiny could walk out either side of the wall of the receiver. So going to an HK style pin with the detent and spring built into it dramatically reduced scrap rate and eliminated the fail point of having those holes in the polymer itself. And on the front pivot pin, when you drilled those holes for the spring and detent up there, over time, they could potentially crack on the front, not structurally like through the rear hole, but it was also a fail point and a scrap rate point on the earliest KAV-15 receivers. So later KAV-15 Mark 1s and all KAV-15 Mark 2s used a pin set that had the spring and detents built into them, and they will be similar on the Mark III, but we're looking at different ways to upgrade them and make them even better than the earlier iterations of the monolithic polymer receiver.
I have a quick question. Because the drawings don't show a butt pad on it, are they going to have just like a lightweight rubber butt pad, or are they just going to run like an A1?
So it is compatible with any A1 or A2 butt plate. What butt plate we ship them with to be determined.
Okay.
So we have the ability, KE Arms, we have 16 CNC machines, so we could make an aluminum butt plate for them. But there are also polymer butt plate options available that we may consider. So there might be like a less expensive option or even the cheaper option where there's just no butt plate at all. And then maybe a premium option with a like upgraded aluminum butt plate. But right now our focus is on just getting the molds and tooling finished for the Mark III receiver, and all those other things like the specifics of the butt plate and the specifics of, you know, the spring system on the pins. They will be in the pin, but like the exact details of it are things that we will work out as we get closer to actual production with the receiver.
I gotcha. That's good to know though, but I mean, still, you know, also we didn't mention that you can get them. You'll be able to buy them with parts kits installed or parts kits with either one with your SLT triggers.
Correct. And the complete What Would Stoner Do rifle will be a Brownells exclusive. So you'll be able to buy the complete rifle that Carl and Ian are speccing out, built, ready to go, and you won't have to source pieces from a bunch of different places. And we will be debuting that in the Brownells booth at SHOT Show 2020.
That's right. That's what I saw on their site. So you're telling me I have to make sure and stop by the Brownells booth because I would anyway.
Yeah, Brownells has cool stuff. They've actually been leading the industry as far as new cool products for the past several years, and we're really glad to be on board with the production of this project and debuting it through Brownells.
Right. Which, yeah, who better to debut it through? I mean, in all actuality.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out that What Would Stoner Do project on InRange TV, it is really worth, especially now that it's totally done and you can watch the entire series. It is pretty cool. Just building a lightweight AR using pretty much today's or at least 2017's technology. And now this with the 2020 is going to use all the new stuff again. I hope. I know, because that's the whole point of the project, is just to, what would Eugene Stoner do if he was building an AR-15 a day?
And, you know, something that's really interesting, and I found photos of it on an online auction recently, was in the 70s, Colt tried to do a monolithic polymer receiver. We had never seen what this polymer receiver looked like at Cav Arms until after the Cav 15 Mark II was developed. And the monolithic receiver that Colt produced is very similar in design cues as the Cav 15 Mark II, as far as things that were reinforced and how things were made. The unfortunate thing for Colt at the time in the 70s was plastics technology was just not as advanced as it needed to be, and the materials weren't as good as they needed to be. But, you know, things like incorporating a fixed A1 length stock, incorporating the pistol grip, incorporating the trigger guard, making the area for the hammer pin wider to better absorb the impact of the hammer pivoting forward and stopping, are all things that receiver that Colt did in the 70s made use of. And it's an interesting case of convergent evolution, that there's only so many ways to do something correctly. And pretty much every other polymer receiver maker on the market has completely missed the mark. They're attacking the receiver from a gun angle versus a manufacturing angle. And most of them have been compromised in one way or another. A really simple way to tell the difference is take, you know, brand X polymer receiver with a buttstock installed and do push-ups on it. You will break the back end off of it. With the monolithic style receiver that we're producing, it will absolutely hold up to that. And a lot of the durability testing that occurred with the monolithic polymer receivers over the years was just kind of happenstance. Carl from InRange and I have known each other since about 2006, and in 2009 we attended a team match together at the Tiger Valley range in Waco, Texas. And unfortunately, our rifle bag got ran over by another competitor's dually pickup truck. His aluminum receiver rifle that was in the same bag with mine had the buffer tube permanently bent and the scope cracked in half. My Cav 15 Mark II receiver that was in the same bag had some gouges and dings in it from the aluminum gun being pressed into it under the weight of the truck, but it was otherwise unharmed as far as lower goes. The upper receiver had cracked underneath the barrel nut by the barrel indexing pin, so the accuracy went to hell, but it did in fact work for the duration of the rest of the match, having been run over in a way that completely destroyed and made inoperable an aluminum receiver.
Interesting. Hey, Tony.
Yo.
I think it's funny that Russell thinks that we would do push-ups.
I was listening to him. It's like, yeah, do a push up on an AR. Yeah, no, I'm busy that day. I'm washing my hair. But yeah, I got a question though about that cult. Were they doing that for the civilian market, or were they thinking about military sales when they did something like that?
I don't have a lot of details on it, but the strength of injection molding, for example, is we estimate our rate of production and based on previous production as being around making a receiver every 60 seconds. So the value of that may be lost on people who haven't lived through a panic buy cycle or who have not lived through a ban era. But when aluminum forgings are 3 to 4 months out and aluminum billet is sold out, and you have the ability to make a polymer receiver every 60 seconds, as fast as you can, put more plastic in the hopper and load the serial number tags into the mold. That's a huge advantage, and I think a large portion of the market that's been spoiled by $35 to $40 aluminum receivers in this age of unprecedented availability of AR parts will suddenly see that there is great value in a polymer receiver designed from the ground up to be resilient, durable, and manufacturable.
Well, and I would say the other thing with, in 10 years advancement in polymers, you may be able to make this with a different polymer plastic, so to speak, that is way superior than what we have now. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, fundamentally the material used is the same, but one big advantage we have with the Mark III over the design and production of the Mark II back in 2003 is that the Mark II was originally designed to be made using sonic welding, which is more of a spot welding process. It didn't work. The parts didn't stick together, and it was a problem. And it was then switched over to linear vibration welding. And it worked very well for the most part, but there were a few problematic areas depending on when the parts were welded together and the type of plastic that was used, that sort of thing. So we were very fortunate that all this time later, the same person at the welding company that worked on that program with me when I was at Cav Arms is working on this program with me today at KE Arms to optimize the mold from the start to be made using linear vibration welding. So the weld should be better and stronger in every way than the earlier receiver.
I listened to you talk to Carl the other day, and they said a lot of finishing had to be done by hand on the old lowers. Is that no longer going to be the case with this?
So there is some sprue that comes out around the edges from the welding process because there's about 15 thousandths of material on both sides that gets melted and fused together, and that material has to go somewhere. We're working on optimizing the part design so that flows more towards the inside of the part with less towards the outside. But one advantage KE Arms has in producing these is our CNC capability. So what was done with hand drills, hand fixtures, hand files, and razor knives before can all be done in a CNC machine today, much more efficiently and with much more consistency than those earlier receivers.
Nice.
You done, Tony?
Yeah, I think I'm done salivating over this. You said it'll be out next year, and of course it's going to be available in black and flat dark earth initially.
Initially, yes. Of course, we'll be looking at other colors as we get further into production with it. I think doing some limited color runs throughout the year for, to fit different markets is something we'll look at, with the understanding that there are some difficulties in switching to other colors, because when you're running black all the time, the machine's processed in and the operators know how it's supposed to perform running that material. Same thing with flat dark earth. That'll be a high enough volume that we can buy pre-mixed flat dark earth material, and it has its own processing in to run the mold accordingly. The problem with other colors is you're buying colorant and mixing it in with virgin nylon, and you have to really work on making sure that's consistent. And making sure the parts process in and fully fill the mold, because there's different run temperatures and that kind of stuff.
And hey, the good part is the whole zombie green thing is dead, so you don't have to worry about making that again.
I hope not. Of course, probably in 10 years it'll be cool again. Everything in this industry is cyclical, and it comes back into fashion at some point.
Yeah, that's exactly. Russell, do you want to stick around for the rest of the show, or do you need to split off? Or it's up to you.
I'll probably take off, guys.
Okay.
Anybody
Okay.
who's looking for information on the development of the Mark III receiver can, of course, go to kearms.com, follow InRange through their media distribution points. Brownells has a landing page on their website as well. And, of course, my personal blog, Sinister Rifleman, I'll have updates on there as well. And you can find some detailed history of the previous monolithic polymer receivers on there, too.
Anywhere else people can contact you, or just anything else you want to put out there?
Of course, you can follow my personal competition YouTube channel. It's Sinister Rifleman, and I'm on Instagram as well under Sinister Rifleman. I post match and shooting and other memes and nonsense on there too. So,
Yep,
Nice.
I follow him. It's
Yeah.
fun to watch his stuff, dude.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you coming on, especially at such short notice.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and have a wonderful evening.
all right, thanks guys, and
Yep.
Tony, hit me up later for those coupon codes.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, take care, guys.
Take care. Bye. It's just you and I, Tony. So that was the KE Arms MK3 polymer receiver with industry insight on it, because, of course, Tony and I don't know anything. And that is why we're going to talk about the Modlite OKW 18650 flashlight, or whatever you want to call it. MSRP is $350. Yeah, Tony, are you still standing?
Nope.
Okay. And this is made by Modlite. So I think Zane wanted to be here, but he had so many problems that he was out of luck.
He sold his computer to buy a Modlite.
Probably. And he still owes like $325 on the light. So if Modlite has, you can buy just like a body, or just different heads. They make a weapons light. Now they're making these. This is the complete flashlight, so to speak. Batteries, everything. White lumen output is 680 lumens. But here's the key point. It is 69,000 candela. So if you know anything about that, that's like spill and throw and all that stuff. Tony has a story about this light that he was watching somebody. They are hand assembled and tested in the USA. They do have a lifetime guarantee. The drivers are fully potted and tested. That means like the LEDs, all the electronics in them. It has a 6061 aluminum bezel, which is, of course, hard coat anodized, and they use some BoroFloat lens, which allows 98 to 99% light transmission. The length of this particular light is 5 3/8 inches. Body diameter is just under an inch, and the head diameter is 1 3/16 inches. It does not support lithium CR123 batteries. It says it'll cause the cells to heat up and possibly explode, probably from all the current being drawn out of them. So they recommend a Keep Power 18650 high drain rechargeable battery. Runtime, they say, is about 70 to 75 minutes. It does come with the charger, batteries, all that stuff. The big advantage with this, it's pretty much your standard size flashlight in this category. But like I said, it is the candela, so you can identify targets, threats, whatever you want to say, at a farther distance. Tony, who was it saying? Were saying
Well,
that.
it's going to be in-range TV night because
Oh,
in-range
okay, yes,
TV
it's
actually
in
had it
range
on.
TV.
They actually had it on. They were working with primary, secondary. The whole flashlight thing is new to me. Actually, spending money on flashlights outside of Walmart pricing. Um, I've taken tactical rifle classes. Low light tactical rifle classes, and also handgun classes. So I've been learning. The whole thing is, before I was like, well, you don't need a flashlight. You can turn on the light in your house, and then it's just different things. And the more I learn, the more I realize I didn't know. So to compare this, Zane is the one that has a little mini sexual experience every time he talks about flashlights. And one of the things he talks about is candela, and that's like I think that's kind of like the throw or how much the measurement of in the hot spot. I have no clue, but I'll run this one to you because I have streamlights. I have a streamlight right here, and I have a 1,000 lumen streamlight, and it shines 30,000 candela, but it's 1,000 lumens. This thing is 680, and it blasts out 69,000 lumens. I mean, not lumens, excuse me, candela. I keep confusing the words. But here's what it actually means. Primary, secondary, and in-range TV just set up some people out on the range at different distances to see if you could identify not only people at distance in the dark, but what they held in their hands. So let's say you're using your firearm as a home defense gun, or and this flashlight is mounted to your gun, or even handheld, and you want to identify who is outside your home and what they have in their hand. Pretty much all of the high-end flashlights, no matter who they came from, petered out at 70 yards. No matter what it says on the side of their little packaging about how far it can see, you can see something's out there, but you couldn't identify it. With this Modlite at 100 yards, you can not only tell what color the person had on, but you can identify whether they had something square or something gun shaped or whatever in their hand. And it just far exceeded. I think the closest anything else came to it was 70 yards. And again, you could see someone was out there, but you really couldn't identify them. So yeah, this is pretty much top of the line when it comes to handheld flashlights. It's expensive. It is what it is. If you want the best of the best at this point, the technology that this has is it. This is it. And it's about the size of everything else. And I mean, hey, if you want to get one, get one. Right now, I'm looking at what I have. My firearms are used for home defense. My flashlight is used for work, and it works out perfect. And this is a lot of money at $380. But if you're EMT, if you're rescue personnel, if you're first responder of some type, and you have to search for people, be able to see things at a distance in the dark, maybe it'll behoove you to drop some money on getting your own thing, because your darn department's not going to drop $350 on a flashlight. Your department doesn't want to spend any money. But if you want the best, sometimes you got to spend the money, especially if you want to saving lives with it. That's what I have to say about it. Oh, and by the way, if you have a $350 flashlight, you do not let your friends borrow it. Just saying.
Well, that's a given. I barely even let my own family borrow my $50 flashlights.
Eat carrots if you want to see in the dark, boy.
Exactly. But Tony's spot on with this. It's top of the line. If you're a first responder or you need something like this, yeah, I mean, it's probably worth the $350 to you. If you can identify targets, threats, somebody that's lost farther out, why wouldn't it be worth it to you? But like Tony said, your department's not going to buy it. For me, it's out of my price range, but I also figure in 5 years, they'll have way new technology, and this technology will be affordable to me. Yeah. Hey, that's how it works.
Oh, and they do have codes, discount codes for first responders and military. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what it is. I just know when I was in the military, you could discount code it all you want. Um, kind of just sucks, dude. You don't get paid a lot. That's why I had side jobs when I was in the military.
That's it. But hey, they also make, like I said, they have a different head that does something else instead of throwing that many candela. I think it's a different. It's more designed for something else, and I think the heads are like $150 or something. Either way, they're not inexpensive, but I believe from all the reviews and people that I have seen use them that they are quality and they're worth what you get for it.
Oh, it was really funny because I listen to primary and secondary. I listen to podcasts. I watch them on YouTube, and I like learning new stuff, especially about things like this. Because again, until I took low light classes, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I thought I was hip to the flashlight game, right? I mean, like Streamlight, Surefire, Nightstick, which has come to us. Then they kept saying Modlite, and I'm like, what words are they saying? What is that? I,
And
I really had not heard of it,
right,
and
they're new.
yeah, they're new, but they're like they went new, like Maybach new. Like people had heard of Mercedes, but then when they came out with the Maybach, everybody's like, "What is that?" Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're going for the top of the game. We're going to put out the best there is, and you can check it out if you want to. So, just to give you something to look at, go to their website, check it out, and maybe you'll learn a little bit about flashlights. You might not buy this, or you might buy this, but at least you have more knowledge in your back pocket when it comes to flashlights.
There you go. So that
Oh,
was the
by the way, it's so expensive they don't even call it a flashlight. What do they call it? They
uh
don't call them flashlights.
it's a well handheld light. It's
Oh, I'm sorry. A Modlite handheld light package.
right.
Like it costs so much money, it ain't even a flashlight anymore.
It's a flashlight. So that was the Modlite OKW 18650. I guess we'll get into now. I think it's a good thing that Zane's not here right now because he might have all kinds of fun things to say about this. But I'm kind of thrilled about this for reasons that Tony probably has the same reasons. Is the Sky CPX 1 or 2, whichever one you want, red dot pistol. MSRP is $339 to $349 with an optic. This is not just slide cut. This is with an optic. So it's their basically handgun that they made for years now. And the red dot they're putting on top of it is a Crimson Trace red dot. Now, I went to look up this Crimson Trace red dot, but it is not on the Crimson Trace website. Uh, Somewhere in here, I think it's like the CT 1500 or something is what it.
CTS 1500.
Yeah, and it is not on their website. So I'm wondering if it's like new coming out, what the footprint is. It's got a bunch of different things that I don't know about, but we'll go over what the gun is. It's heat treated slide, 10+1 capacity. It is double action only, and this is where people don't really care for the Sky. It's the slide's 1 inch, the grip is 1.26 inches, completely wide with the slide stop. It has an aluminum frame inside the polymer. It's 3.1 inch barrel and 9 millimeter. It weighs 17 and a half ounces. It's not super heavy. It does have finger grooves, which I'm not keen on. Hey, what do you expect? So it does come with two 10-round magazines. They're running, where is this? It's Zytel polymer for the frame. It's a full encapsulated steel spring recoil system. The CPX-1 RD is the safety version. The CPX-2 is the non-manual safety version. They say it's about a 9-pound trigger pull. Yeah, it's probably about right. There is also, what is this? It's running they're running a new kind of lockup system, and I don't exactly know. I forgot what they called it, but it's supposed to help with repeatable accuracy. The red dot, it says it's a 3.5 MOA, and it has a built-in backup sight. So it's recessed for it. Uh, it's this particular one is auto dimming to ambient light. Crimson Trace puts a 3-year warranty on it. It does have 20,000 plus hours of battery life. It looks like you might have to take it off to replace the battery. I couldn't quite tell from the pictures, and since didn't know really anything else on it. But you figure MSRP is $350 for the one with the safety, and we all know that Skies sell less. So I'm thinking $300 street price. You get an optic, a pistol. If you want to know if you're getting into the optics game, okay. Some people don't like the Sky pistols. They're inexpensive. They're built decent. Their magazines aren't sometimes the greatest. I have one of the CPX2s. I had magazine problems. They sent me new magazines. I literally have had zero problems with it since. I ground the finger grooves off of it because I don't like finger grooves. The double action trigger it's smooth, it's just heavy. It's not like super stacking or anything like that. So I never really had a problem with it. It's kind of I kind of view it as one step above a high point. Just because that's kind of now with this, you can get it with a red dot. That's I kind of like that, and for the price, $300, I might buy one for a red dot. Haven't had problems with my standard one.
See, yeah, I've watched these things since they came out the first time.
The
they
first
were
time. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. When they came out, I was like, okay, Sky. When people had no idea how to pronounce it, and I watched because they gave a metric ton of these to YouTubers, and of course, YouTube they can't figure out what to do with it, like the surest durability. So they do corny stuff. And I was watching it get thrown off a roof and still work, and just a crazy number of rounds go through it. It has a 9-pound double action trigger pull. There, okay, you know what that is? That's pretty much the same trigger pull as Smith and Wesson double action revolver. Actually, from the Performance Center.
And it's long too. I will.
Yeah. Now, I've dry fired these. I haven't shot one. Sean has. Sean digs the Sky. He thinks they're pretty decent.
I like mine. I've
Yeah.
had zero problems. Like I said,
I didn't like the finger grooves on it. It does have a longer trigger pull. It's a smaller gun. But the price is awesome. When you're trying to get into something, you not know. Oh, by the way, it comes in like 8 different colors. So my whole issue, I don't have an issue with it. I'd like to check it out. It's a small handgun, and now you're putting a red dot on it, but at least it's a small red dot. Check it. And Crimson Trace just came out with this. Crimson Trace has been branching out. They're a laser company. They did lasers, green lasers. They were really cool. I got some of their stuff.
They first came out with laser grips years and years ago.
Yep, years ago, and they're on a lot of different firearms. And now they're doing optics.
Right, and whoever owned Smith and Wesson, whatever conglomerate that was, owns Crimson Trace now too.
So now they're working with this guy, Scott from Sky Firearms. They're out of Florida. I remember that. And the pistols have a decent enough reputation. And it's funny to me because people goof on it because it's the high point with a red dot. And I'm like, yeah, but High Point optics ready too with their new Yeet cannon
when they bring it coming out SHOT Show or whatever. Yeah,
it's going to be optics ready also. Like Zane said, pretty much it's the future going into 2020. the entry level handguns are now coming equipped with red dots or red dot capable.
Well, and the thing is they're like stepping up before some of the big names are.
Yeah. I mean, what? Finally, Glock stepped up and have the MOS, but they still don't have a suppressor ready like High Point will be. And again, the price point on this, dude, you can get into a red dot for $300.
Yeah,
I'm figuring that's what street price is going to be, and
that
that's just
would be
an
my
assumption.
guess.
Yeah, so $300, and you have a small. It's going to be, what is this red dot? I think it weighs like 2 ounces or something like that.
Yeah, they're not. The whole pistol is not like super heavy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
that's
hey, listen, if I was one of those dudes that could easily buy a handgun instead of having to jump through all the hoops I have to in Jersey, I'd give it a try because, I mean, my small carry pistol is, again, just when I don't feel like, you know,
well,
putting on a heavier gun is an SR-22 with a 4.5-inch barrel.
right, and that's the thing, and that's basically why I have one of the original ones without the red dot. Is they were cheap, and I'm like, I know it's double action only. I'm like, but I've heard decent things about them. I'll try it out myself. I still own it. That says something. And I will say, I haven't, the one that High Point's bringing out, I have not seen, but the Sky doesn't weigh much. If it's reliable for you, you can carry this gun comfortably because it's not super large. It's not heavy. I mean, you can definitely tell when you put 10 rounds in it, though. I mean, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, right. It's like, wow, this gun got heavy all of a sudden. It's got
Right.
10 rounds of 9. It's the same that any gun is going to weigh when you put 10 rounds or 9 in it.
Right.
And another thing I dig about it, because it's a small package of 10 rounds, Jersey legal. So maybe one day, I don't know, I might be able to get one of these. I don't know.
I will say, I think if I remember correctly, even though it was, a week ago, I saw some Black Friday deals on the standard CPX2s for like $179.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing too.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, my SR-22, 18.7 ounces, and it's a 22.
Right. There you go.
10 rounds of 22 versus 10 rounds of 9.
Yep. So
can't wait. Want to see it. Want to get some trigger time on it. Oh, and by the way, I think someone does sell some kind of trigger upgrade kit for one of these.
I've
But
seen a few. What is it? There's a trigger company out there. I'm sad because I don't remember their name. Because I have one of their triggers for an original Ruger. What's their little 380? The little terrible one to shoot.
LCP.
Yes. I have one of their triggers for it, and it helped it out. And I think they make one for a Sky too. But it's like Tony said, I think there's some out there. So if you wanted a better trigger, but they're not terrible. I mean, especially if you're used to shooting revolvers. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a AA. It's a revolver trigger.
And I will say that it doesn't say anywhere. It does have second strike capability.
Oh,
because of that.
So we're into that Taurus thing with the second strike. Galloway Precision has one. M Carbo has one. So I mean, all I did was type in
Sky Trigger or something.
Sky Triggers, yeah, Sky Trigger, and it pulls it right up. So I mean, even if you're not interested in this thing with a red dot, I mean, hey, how many years have you had with your Sky?
I don't know, probably 4.
See, my problem with some of this stuff is when you dealing with people on YouTube, you have no idea whether they got a check, you know what I mean, or just free product, and they're talking about how great this thing is. Nobody's paying Chad anything. Look at him. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. Well, they do pay me to eat pretty good. Okay. Look at me.
But yeah, man. So can't wait for this to come out and hear actually what's going on with it.
So that was the Sky Red Dot pistol. We do not have any listener feedback, so please leave us some. And now it's time for Tony to tell you all about what's going on Thursday. So
All
if
right.
you hear the show on Friday, you'll miss it.
You missed it. And what was it? It was the last diversity shoot of the year held at Gunfire Range in Woodland Park. And we had pizza, we had fun, we had guns, we had awesome human beings come out, and they became friends with people they didn't even know like yesterday. That's what happened. Um, and that's what the diversity shoot is about. I'll be putting up next year's schedule. I'm going to be talking to the management there to find out which days we're going to be able to be there in 2020. Can't wait. We're going to be at different places in 2020. I have a contact in New York. We're going to try to get in New York State in 2020. So it's going to be live, and I look forward to the new year. But on December 15th, this is what I want to talk to you about, is the 2A social media rally that's coming up. What is this about? What it is you use your social media right now to let everybody know about this, so we can have 100 million Americans, 100 million gun owners calling their legislators, both local, state, and federal, and going no on more gun control. And that's what the 2A social media rally is about. Just December 15th. We're all going to pick up. You don't even have to call them all at once. You can call them throughout the day. You not even leave the house. It's called the social media rally because pretty much we're just getting word out through social media about what it is and trying to affect change, using your power as a voter, using what we have available, emails and phone calls. Go to diversityshoot.com. I have a list there that you can click on, type in your state and your zip code maybe, and it pulls up all your legislators with their contact information right there on the front page of diversityshoot.com. It also has a link to the IG page to the guy that organized it and his Facebook page. So if you want to learn more about it and watch his videos and hear what he has to say, you can do that on the front page of diversityshoot.com. I want all of us to get out there and like put foot in butt so we can stop stupid things like red flag laws and just different infringements upon our Second Amendment rights. And if 1/3 of the voters in the country all of a sudden make phone calls, it's going to scare the snot out of them. It can change national policy. All of a sudden, no one's coming for your guns, and Beto O'Rourke just becomes a trivia question. So that's what I'm hoping. Again, social media rally, December 15th. If you want to help us out over at diversityshoot.com, the second is for everyone. Go to diversityshoot.com. There's ways to donate. And Yankee is going to be giving away a pistol very soon from our patrons. That's awesome. So it's a CZ P10C. We'll be giving away because someone followed us at the $20 level. Can't wait. We're going to have more giveaways like that. So join at $20. And I'm going to make a video and show you what you can win December and in 2020. Thanks a lot. As always, appreciate having me on the show.
Yeah. So send questions, comments, or feedback to gungearreview@gmail.com. Go pledge your support at gunandgearcult.com. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. We would appreciate all of those. Check out all the other great shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. Be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Firearms Insider. And thank you for listening to our largest pound for pound podcast on the network. And we are out.
Thanks, everybody.